So welcome to this video lesson where we're going to look at Aeneid 2, Book 2, 277 through, or actually I think 278 through 297. So just looking at the last little bit before there, if you see at 274, Ei mihi qualis erat, woe to me, what sort he was, and this is talking about Hector as he appears as a sort of ghost to Aeneas. How greatly changed from that Hector who returns clothed in the spoils of Achilles. Exouios there is one of those Greek accusatives or accusatives of respect, clothed in the spoils of Achilles. And then vel danaon phrygios jaculatus pupibus ignis, or that Hector, the well is again a synonym for out, A-U-T, who or having, jaculatus is literally a participle, but we could say who tossed or hurled, or we could say having hurled to just keep it a plain participle. Phrygian fires at the sterns of the Danaans. Now, the sterns there, the pupibus, that would be metonymy or synecdoche, part for the whole. The Danaans is a patronymic, phrygios, an epithet of the Trojans. Right? And then continuing on. Now, I believe now we're getting to where the actual assignment started. Squalentim barbam et concretos sanguine crines, vulneraque illa gerins, quae circum plurim muros acebit patrios. So the gerins, again, is describing the ghost of Hector, bearing or wearing. Squalentim barbam, an unkempt beard. Our word squalid comes from this Latin root. And congealed, or hairs congealed with blood. Okay, so we can imagine some matted hair with blood all nasty in it. And those wounds, vulnera illa. And then the quae clause picks this up. Those wounds which he received very many of, plurima, around the ancestral or paternal walls. And of course this refers to the walls of Troy, which was of course ruled by Hector's father, King Priam. So there's allusion there to Achilles' abuse of Hector's corse in the Iliad. There is some, well, let's see, we've got the wearing the three different things. We've got tricolon there. The acapit is strong enjambment, completing that quae clause. All right, and then going on in 279, ultro flins ipse videbar. I myself seemed of my own accord, that is sort of voluntarily, while crying, flins, present participle, to address the man. Compellare is a synonym for appellare, a more common word for addressing or calling somebody by name. I myself, while crying, seemed of my own accord to address the man and to express sad or gloomy voices. All right, O light of Dardania. Now that would be an epithet, a poetic epithet for Troy itself, the Dardanian city, Urbs. O most trusted or most faithful hope of the Teucrians. Teucrians being a patronymic for the Trojans. What delays, what such great delays, rather, have kept you? You have to understand a te here, a you. Quibus Hector arboris expectate venis. So, from what shores, awaited Hector, do you come? So the expectate here, let's see, if we scan that expectate, the E on the end of that has to be short. So that's going to be not the adverb, but rather the vocative of the adjective. So it's addressing Hector as he talks to him. So, O expected Hector, from what shores do you come? Essentially is how that question works. The quibus goes with the oris, both in the ablative. We've got enjambment there. We had the ellipsis of the te. Okay. Continuing on. Ut te post multituorum funera, post varios hominumque orbisque labores defesi aspicimus. How we look on you. The ut here is how. It normally means as with an indicative verb, but it can mean how when we are asking a question, like ut wales, how are you doing? Or if we're making an interjection, as he is here. How we look upon you after many funerals of your people, tuorum, after various labors or toils or struggles, we could say, for labores, both of the people and of the city, defesi, tired. So we could change that around and put that in English order. How do we tired people look upon you after da-da-da-da-da and go that way? Okay, that is to say the defesi is nominative plural describing the we subject, which of course means Aeneas and the other Trojans. Or you could take it as a sort of poetic plural and say it's like kind of like the royal we. He's just talking about himself when he speaks here. Quae causa indigna serenos foedavit vultus? What unworthy cause has befouled your serene expressions or faces? Vultus is definitely a poetic plural because I think Hector only has one face. Aut cur haec vulnera cerno, or why do I see these wounds? All right, ille nihil, he says nothing, so you have to understand a verb there, so we got ellipsis of like dicit or something similar. Nec me quaerentem vana moratur, nor does he pause or delay for me seeking or maybe asking vain or empty things. So the ghost is going to continue on, kind of ignoring Aeneas. Sed graviter gemitus, but, well, let's do it this way. Graviter gemitus, that's an accusative plural with a long US. Imo de pectore ducens, drawing groans deeply or heavily from the depth of his chest. And here we quote what the ghost says, Heu fuge, nate dea. Alas, flee, run away, you born of a goddess. Nate is short E ending, that's the vocative, addressing Aeneas. You son or one born from a goddess. Dea would be a long A ablative. And snatch yourself, eripete, from these flames. His flammis, he says. Okay, so the ghost of Hector tells Aeneas, Hostis habet muros, an enemy holds the walls. Nice alliteration there. Ruit alta culmine Troia. So Troy is falling from its high pinnacle, from its high peak. Culmen, like fastigium, typically refers to the high point of a building. It could also refer to the high point of a mountain or a hill or something like that as well. Sat patriae priamoque datum. Enough has been given. Sat is a shortened form of satis or sate, meaning enough. Enough has been given to your country and to Priam. Si Pergama dextra defindi possent. If Pergamums, now Pergama is the plural of the neuter word Pergamum, which is the fortress of Troy, or the harbor of Troy. So basically it's just metonymy for Troy itself. So if Troy's, if Pergamums that's a poetic plural there, could have been defended by a right hand, dextra is an ablative here, they would have been defended even now by this one, hoc, another ablative. And of course the ghost means by the hand of Hector. I guess you could imagine the ghost holding up his hand at that point. Notice those imperfect and pluperfect subjunctives in there, the possent and the fuiscent. Those are used to express contrary to fact situations. If it could have been, then it would have been, right? Sacra suosque tibi commendant Troia penatis. Troy commends its sacred rites, sacra, or sacred objects, you could also say for sacra. It's just a neuter plural. And its own ancestral or household god, suos penatis, to you, tibi dative. Hos capefatorum comites. Take these comrades of your fates. We might say take these as comrades of your fates. And I think it's referring to the ancestral gods he's supposed to take with him. His moenia quaere magna perato statues quae deneque ponto. Seek out walls for these. So in other words, city walls for these gods. Build them a new place somewhere. You will establish, statues, or which great walls you will establish. The quae and the magna go together, referring back to the moenia. So which great walls you will establish at last, deneque, it's a synonym for postremo. Once the sea's been wandered over, with the sea having been wandered over, most literally, that's an ablative absolute, perarato ponto. So there we have interlocking word order or synchises, because the magna and quae go together, and then perarato goes with ponto. Okay, we are almost done with this selection here. So he says, and let's see, manibus vitas vestamque potentem aeternum quadetis effert penetralibus ignem. So he says, and in his hands, manibus, he carries the sacred ribbons, vitas. These are things that priests would often put on when they were doing sacred rites. They would bind them around their head. And the powerful Vesta. Now, of course, Vesta is the goddess of the hearth and home. So I think this is metonymy for those household gods. And he carries out, effert, the eternal fire, aeternum ignem, from the inner sanctuaries. Right, that's the penetralibus auditis. Now to note here, we have chiastic word order. Auditis goes with penetralibus, both in the ablative case from the inner sanctuaries, and then aeternum goes with ignem, both in the accusative singular case. All right, well, let's see. I hope that made good sense there. Let's see, we've got one more line, I guess. At me tum primum saevus circumstetit horror. But then first, savage horror or dread stood about me. It's almost a bit of personification there of the horror, right? Well, that concludes this video lesson. Hopefully that would have answered any questions you might have. If you have questions about scansion, you can always let me know.